Yes, we're live in the flesh. That was a bit Elvis. Thank you very much. Karate style.
Chinese Elvis.
Thank you very much.
Just fix them.
Do you remember him doing those karate moves? See, I'm really. Let's stop the music. Had enough of you. Yeah, really keying into our Generation Z and Generation.
Yes.
What's the audience going on about Elvis? They go, my granddad used to listen to
Elvis
that.
who?
Who's that? That was before I was born. That's my favourite. That was before I was born. And my answer to that is, well, Jesus was before I was born, and I still know who he is, kids. Yes, we're back. The internet's number one internet radio podcast, TV show, all about cars. And we're back once again, like a renegade master, for another hour or so of fun on the Tinterweb. You're going to get 60 minutes of great car advice, some myth truths. And some mistruths, Miss Brahms, and a whole lot of laughs. We're going to be laughing anyway. Coming up today, we've got all the week's headlines in the news. We have a really, truly awful car. It's an awful Japanese car in Pick of the Pups. I know there are plenty of awful cars to choose from. And our quiz this week is the ultimate car quiz. Think pub quiz at your local boozer. It's all about the wild world of motoring, but all set around cars. Our resident boozer this week will be answering the questions that I pose to him. Here's Simon.
Yes, the Car-Boyz boozer, and of course, this show has driven me to drink. So I was completely teetotal before this show, but no.
Not really.
It's like you don't believe me. We've got a great show for you on the way this week. We've got some exciting international and exotic in our Lost Highway section of the show. Also, we have a great vehicle for you in our classic car section. Some people do not know what this car is. I will just show you what it is.
Oh, nice.
You'll have to guess and stay tuned. Oh, it's a coupe from Japan, and it has a twin sister as well. So we'll talk about that.
That's a different kind of show that we do on OnlyFans.
Yes, subscribe, like, buy our videos, all that sort of stuff.
Buy our t-shirts that we don't have.
We'll also be asking the perplexing question of what's the correct maneuver if someone cuts you up on the road. And of course, to remain calm, and you have to give them the V sign, and it's not the peace V sign. That's the one.
It's the one that says, I love archery.
Yes. As to say, for all of that and more, I'm Simon Sujuan, and in my best Roger Taylor impression, I'm in love with my car. I've got a feel for my automobile. Get a grip on my boy racer robot. Such a thrill when your radials squeal.
Roger Taylor, you've got a Roger Taylor t-shirt where Roger Taylor also looks slightly like Harold Shipman on it.
Harold Shipman.
Has he played the Shepherd's Bush Empire yet? When is he playing that? And
No, I think he did.
Oh, has he been?
No, he did. Yeah, and Brian May joined him on stage for a couple of songs.
Did you not go?
I didn't, no.
Anyway,
I forgot that he was in town.
This is Simon Sujuan, big fan of Freddie Mercury, and of course the show's resident queen. And I'm Richard Green with a brand new guitar.
Ooh.
Now, that was a ditty from AC/DC entitled Walk All Over You, about the unfortunate outcomes of getting a divorce. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is Car-Boyz.
Car-Boyz.
We have a new sponsor for this show.
Who's
sticking with we're always like a sponsor on the show to be a producer of bottled water. And this week, it's Yorkshire Water. Yorkshire Water. And and their logo, it ain't black. So, Yorkshire Water. And what does it taste of? Surprisingly, anti-Semitism. There we go. Don't forget Yorkshire Water. It says what it means, and it means what it bloody well says. As they say, God's country, the devil's people. Time now on the show for Richard's rant. I think I said last week rant, but it's definitely Richard's
Yes,
rant.
very posh.
It's when I take a sideways view of the world from my own weird, and I would argue, warped perspective. Unlike other sections of this podcast, this will not be an open debate or even a mass debate. Thank you. Instead, this will be a totalitarian dictatorship where I shall reign supreme as El Presidente. This week, I'm thinking about the right to have your say, free speech. Generally, Evelyn Beatrice Hall was an author who wrote a book in 1906 called The Friends of Voltaire. In it, she writes, I disapprove of what you say, but I will defend to your death your right to say it. It's a quote that's often misattributed to the 18th century author himself, but the line is a perfect illustration for what the philosopher Voltaire believed back in the, I think, 18th century. Now, I believe this is a rather heavy rant this week. I'm sure you'll agree. But this quote, I think, it's something we're not being allowed to say, and it's something we're not being allowed to stand by these days. As the COP26 conference in Glasgow came to an end this week, or should I say the COP Out conference, we're still being told the best way to save the planet from extinction event, or even an extinction event, is to stop driving our petrol and diesel cars and buy an electric one. Full stop. Just do that. There's no room for debate with anyone. This is being touted as a gospel by green campaigners and in some sort of religious environmental fervor. All they're saying is get rid of your car, get rid of your car, get rid of your car. You are not allowed to question whether electric cars are environmentally friendly. They just are. That's the end of their argument. I find this offends every single fiber of my being. How dare these people just say, that's science, that's the statistics, which obviously they've massaged to make their argument, as people do. End of discussion. Now, dear viewer, you may be an environmentally friendly vegan. I doubt it. You may be a bloody steak eating, cigar chomping petrol head, which is probably the more likely. But this is a democracy. Well, apart from this section of the show, which is a totalitarian dictatorship. No, the Western world, I should say, is historically a democracy, where we all love a bit of mass debate, as I mentioned before. Arguments should be allowed to happen between different groups of people, and if your argument is valid, then in theory it should be heard. I should be allowed to say that we're running out of rare earths for electric batteries faster than we're running out of oil, and faster than we're developing better electrical technology. So the inevitability is that even if we have electric cars now, within 30 years, we'll be back to driving petrol ones. That's a statement based on statistics, but I bet your bottom dollar that's the first time you've heard that argument. Why? Because it doesn't fit the green, the industrial, or for that matter, the government's agenda. The environmentalists want us to drive electric cars because they think it will save the planet. They won't if we all drive one. Industry wants to have electric cars because they'll only last so long. We'll have to buy a new one every 10 years, and they can make more cars and more profit. Also, we can't store electricity, so we still have to rely on oil and rely on governments. Let me tell you about governments. What they want to do is stay in power. And if that means telling a few lies to the public, then they'll do that just to keep their hands on the reins. Don't take my word for any of this. Just look around and see who else is out there arguing against electric cars, how wasteful they are. Nobody's doing this in the mainstream media. Nobody's doing this in the government, and no one's doing it in industry. Just a few weirdos on the internet, like me, who are confused that nobody is joining up the dots. What do you think, Simon?
We have on the show, I think probably since we first started a couple of years ago, have said electric vehicles are not the way forward.
No.
They'd said this before with diesels, probably about 10, 15 years ago.
Yes.
And then look how that turned out.
Yes.
So you're right. That's an interesting. If we all drove electric vehicles, then actually think about it. Certainly in London, you wouldn't have to pay a ULEZ charge because everyone's driving them, and apparently it's all clean. The air is going to be clean. There's going to be little bunny rabbits running everywhere.
Of course, there will be bunny rabbits running everywhere. Yes,
it would be a loss of revenue for all of these governments and councils. So why would you do it?
It's something that nobody's talking about. Nobody is mentioning I mean, just for plain simple fact, the rare earths argument.
Hmm.
We've got a limited supply. They think about 30 years, and your rare earths that go into your electric cars, I keep saying, a thousand amount. This is a thousand of these for one electric car. I'm probably not going to go through my lifetime. I'm not going to have 1,000 of these, but I'm probably going to have maybe another 10 cars in my lifetime at least. I just don't think any of
these are not
being emphatic.
recyclable either.
No,
You cannot recycle these batteries.
Yes, and until
was
that
there
happens,
statistics the size of Wembley Stadium that
that's
all these
right.
batteries are just going to pile up?
Yeah, for what we're being told every week, the size of Wembley Stadium. So there you go. Talking of current events, shall we have some news?
Yes.
I can find it. Where is it? Hang on. It's here somewhere. Yeah,
it
there we go. There it is. As if by magic.
And continuing on our electric cars news, so it's first off in electric car chocolate radiator news.
Ooh, nice.
Concerns about finding an available charge point. Hang on, this again in deja vu. We did something like this on the show several times before.
I think so, just a bit.
Concerned about finding an available charge point for an electric car could be a thing of the past, with the introduction of a new portable device that drivers can carry with them to replace the batteries of their EVs. So just like one of those big giant charging blocks that you would have for your phone. UK firm Zip Charge revealed at the COP26 Climate Summit, it's game-changing portable charger. Wow, look how huge that is. Portable charger. It's a portable charger called the Go that's due to be available for customers from the end of next year. It says a lightweight device will bring the possibility of home charging to all, including those without.
I'm gonna bring my suitcase. No room.
Chargers will be available on a monthly subscription of £49. That's €57, and fully installed with a home charge point for £800. The power bank is the size of a compact suitcase and is lightweight enough to be stored in a car boot or at home. Lightweight is not specified. The bank's battery can be charged at home or elsewhere at work using a standard domestic plug at a low cost per kilowatt of electricity when compared to public charging. Using the retractable handle, users can then wheel it to wherever they want, wherever they park their EVs and plug it into a charging point. The power banks can provide up to 20 miles of range from half an hour's charge at 7.2 kilowatts, which is, provider says is sufficient for the average daily commute in the UK. That's average. There's no such thing as average daily commute. This is a particular issue for electric vehicle ownership for those wanting to make the switch to battery-powered models, even having to come up with ingenious ways to charge their cars outside their houses or flats, or rely on a public charging network. That doesn't look too portable to me.
No, I mean, this 20 miles is an absolute joke. I can put petrol into a jerry can in my car, and I can drive about 150 miles on that. Yes. Secondly, these things are going to be used by people who live in cities and don't have off-street parking. Cities are full of scumbags who nick things. Do you see what I'm trying to say here? This is...
I do.
Use this in a rural Cotswold village where I grew up, and it won't get stolen outside your house. Use it in Tottenham.
However...
or Brixton, and I guarantee if you put this on the pavement, it's worth £800. Let me tell you, that's going to be there for about 10 minutes. I wonder, just a theory as well. Is it like Rocky 2? Does it say "Happy Birthday, Paulie"? Hey, Paulie, you got a robot.
That's awful. I can't see people rocking up to work with one of those in their hands.
Hello, can I just... Well, also, how much does it... Because, I'm sure you've got very nice bosses where you work, and my bosses don't mind me charging my mobile phone. And I actually used to work with a boss who used to bring his electric bike battery in, and he'd shove it under his desk. If there's 30 people coming into work, each with one of these, I guarantee the company's going to go, no. You're gonna take your. you know.
That's fine, but in my workplace, I'm not allowed to take even a phone into the building.
Oh, that's
So-
true. Because Simon works for a special government organisation.
Department.
Very harsh, harsh. But
So how does that work?
Yeah, Simon's 002.5. See, we did it even before the new bonds.
Yeah, so it wouldn't work for me. It definitely
No.
wouldn't work for me.
And his special government thing, they would not let him take his suitcase in. So yes, in his locked down, secure institution.
Unit.
It's a mental asylum. Meanwhile, moving on, we warned you. Sorry, I did it the wrong way. I was supposed to get that's the way. Hang on, that way. That way? That way. It's a mental asylum where he works. He's an inmate. Meanwhile, we warned you this was going to happen news. The number of second-hand cars changing hands has dropped to the lowest level in 6 years as dealers' stock of motors runs thin of unprecedented demand, trade body figures revealed this week. With an increased number of drivers turning to the used market rather than waiting months for delayed new cars to be delivered, dealer stocks of second-hand vehicles have shrunk as buyers snap them up quicker. Dwindling availability and growing competition for pre-owned models has sent used car values spiraling in recent months, pricing some customers out of buying the vehicles they want. Figures released last week claim the average price paid for a second-hand vehicle has risen from almost 14,000 in May to 16,500 by the end of October, the highest ever, according to Auto Trader. Some year-old cars described as nearly new are in such high demand that they're 22% above advertised for prices, above what the new ones would cost. Official stats published by the Motor Trade body today show more than 2 million used vehicles changed hands in one previous quarter, down 6% on last year, 2% on pre-pandemic figures from 2019. The decline is almost entirely due to the lack of vehicle stock. We warned you about this, and sky-high advertised prices, both of which have been triggered by the short supply of new cars on the market. Car makers' ongoing difficulties securing semiconductor chips globally for the production of new models means outputs have slowed dramatically. Manufacturing not at full capacity, delivery dates for brand new cars have been delayed. Some customers have been told they could wait for over a year for orders to arrive, and you might end up having to go and see Mr. Daly. Terry, did Terry tell you to come down here? And don't worry, what's it? Don't worry, Terry. The world is your lobster. As
our indoors.
As our indoors would say, and as Terry would say, Arthur, don't be a twat. Why don't you just buy an old banger if you really want a car? Then order yours from the dealership and just wait. When your car comes after a year, sell the old banger. Yeah. Don't sell Mrs. Daly, though. This sent me down a rabbit hole this week as I was finding a picture of Arthur Daly. I found that you could buy T-shirts with the Winchester Club on the front. I know I might have to get this one each. The Winchester.
What was the guy's name? The guy's
Hello, Arthur. Hello, Arthur. Yeah,
Inspector
I know that
Chisholm.
Inspector Chisholm was always in there. Hello, Arthur.
Yeah.
We got to clear your tab, Arthur. He'd always drink.
Yeah, put it on a slate. VAT.
Put it on the Mike. It was Mike. It was Mike.
And the drink was a VAT, which was a vodka and tonic. But he'd call it a VAT.
I have a VAT there, Mike. Arthur, your tab's getting rather large. Yes, I think we're going to have to buy Winchester T-shirts. I feel another Car-Boyz holiday coming on. So look, if you want to buy a new car, don't hang on. Order it now. Go and order it and say, well, I still need a car.
Hang on to your car.
Go and spend 1,500 quid on a Japanese crap box that will work. Just get a nice car. Not the favorite, but you just drive it into the ground for the next year. Your new car will come. That will be ordered. Don't pay over the odds. I watched a podcast the other day, and a guy's trying to buy himself a new Porsche. The prices are between 40 and 70,000 on top of what they want. On this price.
So premium.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Just wait.
Yeah. And if you've got that money, you can afford to buy a decent run around till your car arrives.
Yeah.
There you go.
Exactly.
Listen to our indoors. Meanwhile, in COVID, Good save. An iconic British brand news. Oh dear, Aston Martin Lagonda's third
Mm.
quarter sales exceeded those seen in the same time last year, as higher borrowing costs weighed in on the luxury car maker. Pre-tax loss for the third quarter came in at £97.9 million against a loss of 80.5 million for the same period a year ago. While borrowing costs increased, the group still saw a third quarter of its sales to dealers surge by 104%. The company, which had four cars featured in the latest James Bond film called No Time to Die, said that the online car configuration tool had trebled sales leads to dealers. In total, the group sold just 1,349 cars to dealers over the period, and has seen sales bolstered by the popularity of the DBX model. As seen there, the group said that it expected to deliver its first steps towards improved profitability this year as it undergoes a transformation plan. It maintained its guidance of full year sales of around 6,000 cars as it it scales up production of its Valkyrie model, which deliveries begin this quarter. The group said the rise of the Valkyries. The group said its net debt stood at £809 million against £727 million a year ago. The cash stash stands at around £495 million against £489 million a year ago. Last October, the group took on £1.1 billion worth of high interest debt as part of its refinancing scheme aimed at giving the business a major cash boost. Executive Chairman Lawrence Stroll, who I think is related to the racing driver Lance Stroll, says through the first 9 months of this year, it doesn't sound like this, by the way. Through the first 9 months of the year, we have successfully built on the foundations that we put in place for the company's success in 2020. Oh dear, Aston Martin.
We've interviewed Lawrence Stroll, and he really, we've not on this show, but I've seen him
Yeah.
interviewed him somewhere else I work, and yeah, I mean, he's got a point, but the problem is, if you can't build a business on just shifting units, if you don't turn a profit.
Yeah.
So this has been Aston Martin's demise constantly, and they've been sold on again and again and again. And Ford are now out, Tata are now out.
Yeah.
I mean, when they were with Ford and it was the same platform for the Jaguar, I think they had a little bit of luck, but I'm not sure
bit of
anymore
stability.
because there isn't the big cash. There's not the large amounts of cash, and Tata have got very deep pockets to bail out Jaguar and Land Rover. Not so sure about Aston Martin, so we hope it doesn't go the way that it's gone in the past. But those figures do not look good. And finally, in Jaguar Land Rover gets scuppered by the Chinese news, Jaguar Land Rover swung into the red as the global shortage of microchips hammered sales of almost every vehicle. The British car makers confirmed the auto manufacturer posted a £302 million loss for the quarter to September, compared to profits of only 65 million in the same period a year earlier. Turnover slid 11% to 3.9 billion as the company, which is based in Coventry but owned by India's Tata Motors, saw the number of cars sold dip in every major region. It dealt with huge manufacturing backlogs. And also, Chinese are now major shareholders in Jaguar Land Rover. I will say that. JLR sold just over 92,000 motors between July and September, compared to 114,000 in the same 3 months of 2020. Sales of every model, bar the new Land Rover Defender, dropped during the quarter. Chip shortages, as we've mentioned, have plagued car companies across the world after factories that made the electronic components were forced to close due to COVID. It was reported in August that customers ordering some JLR models have been warned they could be waiting for up to a year. Such is the backlog as a result of computer chip shortages. So could it be the end of JLR? I think not. Despite the fact that they produced the Discovery, the Range Rover and the Defender, and they all look the same. I never dreamed I'd be reminiscing about car design from the 1990s. But I honestly look at the Land Rover Disco, I look at the Defender, and I look at the Range Rover, and I go, it's all the same car. It's very, very boring and very homogenized. They've got Tata behind them though, and they've got the Chinese behind them, and that's unlimited funds for these guys.
So we're seeing that quite a lot. Very similar cars, not much product differentiation.
No.
Aston's suffering from it. McLaren's suffering from it.
Yes.
Jaguar Land Rover clearly suffering from it. as well. So you could say we hark back to the 90s, which takes us nicely onto the next section of the show.
Let me cue up the guys. Guys, are you ready to play?
Get 'em in.
Yes, we are, boss. Wow, I think they're winding down. I gave them their methadone a bit early today.
The green juice.
Yeah, that's kept them going. Look, they're all falling asleep in the corner. What's that? You want to play cricket for Yorkshire? Not a hope. Over to you, Simon.
This week, in the classic car selection, we have got this vehicle, which I showed earlier on. And some people may not know what this vehicle is. It is a Japanese 1990s sports car. It is, oh, there it is, the Mazda MX-6, and it was a bit anonymous, really. It does nothing really bad, quite a lot of it really good, but most people probably have never heard of it in a very crowded corner of the marketplace. The MX-6 suffered from at the hands of the more attention-seeking competitors at the time, which of course was the Vauxhall Calibra.
Oh, yes.
That. Toyota Celica, latterly the Fiat Coupe, and also its twin sister, the Ford Probe. That's what car it is underneath. Love a good probe. Despite this, the MX-6 had some seductive qualities. The engine suits the car's nature perfectly, allowing for cruising, and should you feel like it's a firm accelerative punch from the V6 engine. It's not the most characterful V6, unfortunately, though, but the MX-6 isn't the most charismatic car in the first place. It's understated, elegant, and capable, and it's also starting to look like a good used car buy as well. The MX-6 was launched at a time in the UK coupe market, was in the doldrums in early 1992. The choice was basically between the Calibra, as we said, the Nissan 200, and the Toyota Celica. Worthy offerings, certainly, but nothing out of the ordinary. The MX-6 was a little bit different. It shied away from the rally replica pretensions that the other cars did, and didn't look like a reskinned Mazda saloon. Only one variant was offered in this country. It was the 2.5-litre V6, although it steadily was operated throughout its lifetime, and it was launched in 1993 with a decent level of equipment like airbags, alloy wheels, electric seats, and a transponder immobilizer. To get an idea of the MX-6 appeal, though, remember that underneath it's a Ford Probe, which shared much of its mechanicals, both being assembled in the Flat Rock plant in Michigan in America. In many ways, the Probe successor, the Ford Cougar, is more a modern interpretation of the MX-6 philosophy, mature, relaxed, without actually trying too hard. The MX
You've frozen.
Boasted good rear legroom, swoopy roofline on the back meant that it was a little tight for taller occupants. Access to back was good with a sliding passenger seat, but annoyingly, once you slid that seat forward, you had to readjust it. So not very good. The Mazda also possessed a boot far larger than most other coupes. 4 golf bags could squeeze into the cavernous void. 4 golf bags.
Nice.
But the high load and seal meant that you had to lift it up into the boot. The fascia is boldly swooping, but is finished in cheap plastics, which was a problem a common problem for the early 1990s Mazdas. Costs had been taken out of the most important parts of the car, namely the bits that you touch. Seats weren't overly supportive, and you kind of think that had they spent a bit more, you would have got a better feel on the car. It's a shame. It was actually a very good car to drive, and it would have given it a better impression if they spent a bit more on it. So what do you look for on the MX-6? Well, largely it's reliable. It's Japanese for a start, but there are a few minor niggles worth looking into. The aircon system is not the most durable and has been known to leak into the passenger footwell, so therefore check the carpet for signs of mold or damp, and blast the aircon up to full on a test drive. It should blow icy cold in less than 30 seconds. If not, that could be a sign it's on its way out. Also check the electrics. The windows, the sunroof are prone to some rather strange clunking sounds. Ooh. uneven opening rates, and also check front tyres for uneven wear rates because it was front-wheel drive. Paint quality also suffers at times. Look for slightly orange peel effect, but this, of course, wasn't uncommon on most cars around this time. The V6 is very complex, so it's not a straightforward propulsion unit should something go pop. As well as Mazda Sports models, check the condition of the exhaust because a replacement isn't cheap. So, how much would you spend on buying one of these cars? Well, high milers, you can expect to get them for as low as £1,500. But if you spend a little more, like we would have done here, here is a 1993 MX6 2.5 litre Grand Touring with 90,000 miles on the clock. This could be yours for in Wiltshire for a little under £5,000, which is quite an unusual coupe. £5,000 isn't much for a coupe.
There's not a lot of them around, is there?
No. So you would we kind of this classic car feature has kind of turned into a thing that if you turned up at a party in one of the classic cars that we mentioned on this show, people are not going to go, oh, what's that? Well, they will go, what's that? But it's an interesting thing. The cars that we have in it have always been really interesting.
That's the point. I mean, and surely that's part of the. I mean, obviously, you want a lovely driving experience, but we're talking about. But nobody that's watching this, I doubt,
in gold.
But in gold, my dad would love that. Isn't it the same headlights as the MX-5?
I think slightly bigger, but yeah,
they're pretty much, aren't they? It's the 90s. People are going to want to know what that is, and I think there is about to be a massive resurgence and love for 1990s cars and early noughties cars, mainly as my mechanic keeps saying, they do not die. They are very easy to work with. The computer stuff on it is very small. There's not too much computers, and the parts on it are relatively solid. Obviously, you want to check for rust, but I mean, that's the point about the classic car selection. It is things that you wouldn't usually call a classic car, and if you can get it for £5,000 or £10,000 or £3,000, then why not? And drive around in something that's very unusual, and people will go, oh, what's that? That's unusual.
That's different. Yeah.
And especially if you stick a private plate on it, then people won't know what it is. That's it. That's what.
It's a good plan.
That's what my father's done with his old Honda. So thank you very much for that. If you would like to suggest a classic, well, tell you what, we'll do the how to get in touch with us. Actually, I'll do it right now. There you go.
Okay. We'll refresh it later on.
Yeah, we'll refresh it later on. There you go. If you want to get in touch with us, just pause it. We're on everything. We're on the Tinterweb. TikTok.
But we're not on OnlyFans. Not yet.
We're not on OnlyFans. We're never going to go on OnlyFans. Nobody's going to pay to see us in the nip. It's car-boys at outlook.com. Email us, car-boys at Car-Boys with 4 Zs on Facebook. Car-boys with a Z. Always with a Z, at car_boys with a Z. Instagram at car_boys_ with 3 Zs. And TikTok, car_boys with just the 2 Zs. And
and subscribe.
Like and subscribe, kids. Well, that sounds like a cat that was going to sleep. Oh, no. This can only mean one thing. What does this mean, Simon?
It smells like a pile of feces. It must mean it's time for Turd of the Week.
Turd of the Week.
It is time to examine the terrible crimes committed to cars against cars across the world, from the never-ending serving from never-end. There, I can't speak. So your Kia Pride to installing dump valves on your 1.1 VW Fox and putting the carpet back into your car with gaffer tape. Basically, we find a car on sale across the world. It can be any car, a terrible car that dare to mount the pile of feces to be crowned the glorious king of the hill. It's time, as we said, on Car-Boyz for Pub of the Week, a.k.a. This week, we've had an email from Steve in Buckhurst Hill. Hello, Steve. He found this absolute pup on an auction website. He decided to send it to us. This is great because despite the fact that the car is cheap, it is a horrible motor. So I'll let Rich describe this car. Rich.
Mark II Suzuki Swift, 2001. MOT, yes. Car starts and drives, but will cut out after a bit. Had a new battery, comes with set of alloys, comes with interior, although not fitted. One key, paint not the best. The previous owner spray painted the driver's door. good project, or parts car. Need it gone, run out of room. Email any questions. Red, 5+ owners, £250. So, Simon, basically, we have a 20-year-old car that stalls but has an MOT, which is the only thing this car's got going for it. I love the fact that the seller says it cuts out after a bit, so therefore there's something wrong with the car. What this is, who knows? It could be a new alternator, could be a problem with the plugs, could be an electrical issue. I imagine it's the latter. Looking at some of the pictures of, if I can find it, the interior of the car.
This is great. I love this.
I think actually squirrels have been in there biting through that. Squirrels or rats. Or my children. And what's the deal with the part of the advert that said it comes with an interior, but it's not fitted? It's like telling me the car has an engine. It's here in this box, this cardboard box. Also, there's the classic 5+ owners, which could mean 6 owners or 6,000 owners, who knows? I mean, it does have alloy wheels and it's Japanese, but I wouldn't touch this with a barge pole. I quite like this picture as well. I've managed it. It's hidden. It's hidden. I'm so ashamed of this car. I've hidden it, and you can see the driver's door doesn't match the rest of the car.
I like that in that shot that you just showed. It's got a grill, but in the next shot, it clearly is just fallen off. Look.
Oh God, yeah, it has. It's missing the badge. Oh, I moved it and it fell off. It's a mere £250, I grant you, which is cheap. But I imagine what lurks beneath this motor is a whole series of headaches. I'd only buy this if you own a Mark II. Yeah, and holes. I'd buy this if you own a Mark II Swift and you need a door that's a different color from a red car, or you need a bonnet or a few parts. I can't imagine many people out there who want to own a Mark II Swift and then have it rusting on their driveway as they strip it for parts for their other Mark II Swift. So the award to pick of the pup, Simon?
It does. It goes to the 2001 Suzuki Swift, which is not what we'd call this car. Maybe the alternative would be called the Suzuki Slow or the Suzuki Stall. Absolute rotter of a vehicle.
It didn't come with a picture of the interior. I am fascinated to what I've never heard of that. I remember back in the 90s. Fitted. No, not fitted interior. Do remember back in the 90s when people would steal cars for the interior. And a mate of mine had a Vauxhall Nova. The hatchback. With
the stripy seats.
Yes, but it turned up in a housing estate in Coventry with completely no interior. It got nicked because you couldn't get into them really easy with a screwdriver, and you pop the boot.
Yes.
And he came back one day, even with the alarm, it was gone. And just the rest of the car was there, just the interior. And of course, it was a write-off because the interior cost so much money.
Terrible.
Terrible. Anyway, that is our turd of the week. I believe we're off down a lost highway now.
We are. Come on, boys.
Oh, hang on. Here it is. Just give it a minute. I think this is the music we've really been. Here we go.
That's not right.
Well, I married my sister back in '53. We got a lot of grandchildren with 8 fingers each. Think about my mom, who's also my aunt, and then I realized my Jeep was fucked. We're completely lost the Rust Belt, mate. They're not listening to us now. If you own a pickup truck, hang on, let me stop there. Oh.
Speaking of lost, we've lost it. But this is the Lost Highways, which, of course, regulars to this show know that is where viewers email us in and give us their favourite roads. And the reason why they love them, it can be quite close to the road, leads down sea, alternatively, it can be straight to name, right top, and leads to infinity, advise you to go to bed along the moon, whatever your poison is. Let us know your perfect driver roads here on Car-Boyz, which even the order details are going to flash up on the screen now. There you go. And into the inbox this week is Rosie Palms 5. Oh, interesting name. Who says, howdy, Car-Boyz, from Sunny. What? It's Rosie Palm 5. Rosie Palm 5.
And her 5 sisters.
Yes. He says, howdy, Car-Boyz, from sunny San Antonio in Texas, US of A. She says, for show 94, which this is, I would like to throw in the ring the Interstate 94.
Oh,
The I-94, Interstate 94, runs from east to west, or dare I say, probably west to east as well. I don't think it just goes one
yeah.
way. Uh, connecting the Great Lakes to the northern Great Plains region of the United States. It's the western terminus is in Billings, Montana, at the junction of the I-90, and its eastern terminus is in Port Huron in Michigan, where it meets with the I-69, hey, and crosses the Blue Water Bridge into Serena. Nice, which is in Ontario, Canada, where the route becomes Ontario Highway 402. The route is almost 1,600 miles long and runs through 7 different states, and thus lies along the primary overland route from Seattle.
Carry on.
Via the I-90 to Toronto via the Ontario Highway 401. It's the only east-west interstate highway to have a direct connection to Canada. Attached is a picture of the stretch in Detroit, Michigan, which until the 1980s was named the Edsel Ford Freeway. So the son of the great Henry Ford.
There you go.
Quite fit in that music.
It is, I think so. Thank you very much, Rosie Palm. And her 5 sisters. Howdy from San Antone. That's lovely. We're not. Are we staying in the boonies? Hang on. And finally, in Lost Highways, well, we are. We're going to Wales, which this music is very Welsh. Welsh Rabbit emails in and says, "Hello from the west side." Now I've made us sound South Asian. Oh dear, how sad. Never mind. She says, "Hello from Welsh Rabbit." I assume it's a lady. Well, I don't think a bloke.
I guess so.
So Welsh Rabbit is cheese on toast, isn't it?
Cheese on toast. Yeah.
Maybe with some mustard.
Yeah.
Or some Worcestershire sauce, as they say in San Antonio. She says, we presume, or they say, hello from the west side, better known as Wales. The roads around here are great this time of year. She has chosen, or they have chosen, the A470, the full length of which is 64 miles from Conway to Cardiff, and will take you over an hour to complete. However, over the engine will do it. No. However, the best bit is 16-mile stretch of road from Penrhyngrad to Porthmadog in North Wales, on the North Wales coast. Ruth Maddock. Not far. Hello, campers. Not far from the quirky Italian village of Port Merion. From Porthmadog, we go down the road by the A498, past the village of Tramadog, a lot of dogs here, and through the Aberglasn pass to the town, of Bedgelert, I guess. I don't know. I'm called a Welsh.
I think so.
I'm called a Welsh, and I don't even know. Hang on, I've got better stop.
1% Scandinavian.
1%, 25% Scandinavian. Don't know how that happened. My mother was always ordering Swedish food when my father was out. The great thing about this road is it takes you to the first national parks of Wales, Snowdonia. The A470 is all the mountains, lakes, moors, rivers, waterfalls, forests, coastlines, picturesque villages, steam trains. I did mention over the engine, castle, steep ascents and descents. While you're at it, Car-Boyz, come and see Penyafan. I'd love to see it. Oh no, Penyafan is the highest point in the southern Britain with an altitude of 886 meters. That's almost 3,000 feet above sea level. And the interesting, I love this. We've managed to get. Is that a bus? I wonder if that's a London bus or a lorry.
I don't know.
I hope it's
probably a lorry.
A London bus. The most interesting thing, yes, the very interesting thing about going around Snowdonia and that part of the world is that's where Tolkien wrote Lord of the Rings. It's not supposed to be set in New Zealand. It's supposed to be set in Snowdonia. So if you're a fan of Lord of the Rings and you live in the UK, cheaper way of going to see Lord of the Rings type-esque scenery, you just go to Snowdonia and drive around Wales and get wet.
Never been there.
And say, "There's lovely." No, I've done a lot, lovely boy. I've done a lot. I'm running. That's it. I just if I start doing a Welsh accent, I turn South Asian and I offend lots of people. So we won't do that. So thank you very much for all that. That was I'm interested in that one. Yeah. At some point, I'm going to have to
Sounds
get
good.
out on the open highway and do it. Have we got letterbox coming up next? Because I haven't queued up.
Yeah, we have. Yes, we got letters.
Yes, it's time for letterbox here on Car-Boyz.
Letterbox.
Lovely. There we go.
I
It's
thought you were
this
calling it letterbox.
letterbox.
Are you calling it? Oh, I thought you called it letterbox.
We want to try and get, if we get advertising for the show, we might have to pull back on the swear, the naughty words.
I see.
I've been told by my son tonight to stop swearing in the car. So
where did he pick that up from?
I don't know, probably my wife. And so we're now saying arse parsnips if somebody pulls in front of me, which he thinks great. So somebody pulls out in front of me, and I go arse parsnip. So yeah.
It is, of course, time for the mailbag letterbox of the show. Sophie from Chichester, nice part of the word, says,
Nice.
hello, boys. Love the show. Oh, she doesn't have to say that. I'm feeling under pressure at the moment. Dun, 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 dun. That's particularly the pressure on... on her tires baby. I've been furloughed with my job for over a year now. I've just recently started getting back to work for a few days. She says, I'm a bit concerned about my tire pressure. Tires look good to me, but what should the pressures be? The same all round, different up front. Oh, the car feels okay, but but I'm worried it's not. So, tire pressures can depend on lots of things. So obviously it's good to do your tire pressures before you drive anywhere and do them cold rather than hot. That's one thing I would say.
Yes.
Yes.
On average, most cars, and look, because it'll always depend on most cars, but if you've got around 30 psi in each wheel, you're pretty good to go. And that's very much a generalization. If you've got more stuff in the back, more people, got weight in the back, easy thing to do. Open your driver's side door, and there should be a plaque that looks like this that will tell you. Someone's talking about a Ford Fiesta, what you should have for the weight of the car. So the number in the middle, 36, 35, 37, which is here. Hang on, sorry.
Yep.
There.
Yep.
That's the tire pressure if you've got a person and 3 suitcases. They're also telling you the tire pressure at the back. They're also telling you...
No. They're not suitcases. They're battery packs.
Oh, yes, they're battery packs. Where are our battery packs gone? I think I may have thrown them in the bin because they were so effing useless. Yes. If you're so this guy at the end has got where is he? Here he is. He's got 1, 2, 3. So he can do 60 miles. This guy has only got 1 suitcase, so he can do 20. This guy's 60. This guy's only 20. So just look at that. It's a little bit confusing.
Yes.
But you can see that the arrow's pointing to the wheels at the front and the wheels at the back. So if it's really overladen, they're saying, listen, if it's really overladen and you've got these type of tires on, look at the numbers. The numbers for these are, you want 37, and in the back, if it's really overladen and it's these type of tires, you want 41. 30 is about right for most cars. I'd always, also remember, it's also getting cold here in the UK. We're going into autumn. Your the air will contract in your tires. I did my wife's the other day. Steady. Tires. I've been married a long time. And so as the air contracts as it gets colder, so I think on her car it gone down to 26 and it should be about 32. So a great gadget I also discovered, and the kids found this in the glove box again, is a little tire gauge, and you just pop it on and it shoots out and tells you what it is. It cost me like £3 on eBay. The kid's like, can we do it? Yeah, okay, go on. Bored. Buy it, shove it in the glove box, forget about it, just check your tire pressure. The only problem in the UK, obviously, is finding somewhere to blow up to repressurize your tires. Because
supermarkets, I think, are starting to do them.
Supermarkets are now charging. The Sainsbury near me now charges. So I've got a little garage at the end of the road, but often the machines are broken. The other thing you can do is buy a tiny little compressor for about £20 and run it off the cigarette lighter and blow it up that way. But
2 bits of advice I would say is, one, in that picture, I've noticed it's got the tire pressure symbol.
Yes.
So it probably has a tire pressure
Yes.
indicator. So it's
Yes.
probably not gone on. So you're probably all right.
Yeah.
Also, obviously watch where your traffic is where you are. But if you just take your hands off the wheel to make sure that it's obviously traveling in a straight line, and that can
Yeah.
also have an effect as well. So,
Because the thing is, fuel prices going up. If you have incorrectly pressurized tires,
yeah,
great for going over snow. Unfortunately, they're going to cost you more money because there's more, and you also get more wear on your tire
yes,
in
more
places.
resistance.
Yeah, and in places you don't want wear, so your tires are going to wear out faster. So
Yeah.
save money on fuel, be safer on the road. Make sure your tires are the correct pressure. Good luck,
Absolutely.
Sophie. Have a look on the little inside and just do an internet search. You just internet
Yeah.
search is the way I run my life these days. I don't really know about this. Internet search. Oh, there you go. That's telling me the answer. We go further afield now to Australia. We have an email from Cal in Melbourne. I wonder it's the doctor. And he says,
Carl Kennedy.
Carl Kennedy. He says, "G'day, cowboys from down under." Carl lives on the outskirts of the city and is a retired general practitioner. No, he's thinking about buying a second car. Carl is. He owns a Toyota Camry, which is great for general workhorse, but he's thinking about buying something a little bit more exciting for the weekend. His neighbor is selling this. This is amazing.
Yes,
A
this is
high
good.
mileage but classic Ford Falcon Ute, an iconic Aussie car. A high mileage of 200,000 miles, but very good condition. His neighbour's a mechanic, has regularly serviced and looked after this 1995 car for at least 15 years. It comes with a 4-litre engine. It has also got the RWC, which is the Australian version of the MOT. Let me show you the engine. That is a very clean engine bay for a 26-year-old
That's
car.
been well looked after.
I always like a 26-year-old that's been
Yes.
looked after,
Absolutely.
and that's what I told the judge. It's always been stored under a carport, and the paintwork is amazing. But he says, "I know you're all about European cars on the show, but what do you reckon to this? The seller wants 5,000 Aussie dollars, which is, I think, about 3,000 bucks, English pound of your English pounds. Yes." And he said, he's had a go in it. He said, "This drives like a new car." I'll say this.
Yeah.
I've been to Australia. Australia is the place where cars do not rust. I've seen 50-year-old Toyota Celica's in Australia, and they have no rust on them. Up in Queensland, I've seen 1970s Volvos, 1980s Subarus, all looking in amazing condition. I've had to go back and look and gone, I've never seen this car. What's this car? And I've had to go back and look at it and go, well, when did that Subaru come out with this? Well, all the ones in the UK and Europe all rusted away, not in Australia. This is high mileage, but it's a bit of a bargain. Less than £3,000, iconic car. It's gonna be awful on petrol, but it's a weekend car. And do you know what? If it turns out to be a pup, if your neighbour's a mechanic and he used to own this, you just go, "No, Carl can knock on Bruce's door." You go, "What the hell have you done and sold me here, Bruce? It's a bloody terrible car." Bruce can come round and fix it
give
for
that
you.
to my Sheila.
I wouldn't even give that to my, I mean, I'm trying to run over bloody kangaroos here, for God's sake, Bruce. No, I think I'd go for it. I think that looks wicked. I love this car. Look at it.
I like that.
And it's got a nice little red sort of decal down the side as well, that factory red stripe.
It looks like an XR3i.
It does look like an XR3i. We've got a couple more. Oh, we have, yes.
Moving on.
Yes.
Yeah, we've got David Darlington. He says he's seen some 20-mile-an-hour speed restrictions going up. Oh no, around his hometown. He finds them confusing, and he's pretty happy with 30 miles an hour. I think we all are.
Yeah.
Maybe people crawl along at 15. Crawling along at 15. Yeah, maybe that's not right.
No.
Are they enforceable?
I'm afraid.
No, we're not saying no curb crawling.
They are, yes, they are. Yeah, I mean, can you imagine? Are you curb crawling, sir? Oh no, I'm just doing the speed limit of 19 miles an hour. More than 77,000 drivers have been caught breaking 20-mile-an-hour speed limits in London since January 2020. Wow. That's according to the Times. In my borough of London, they're not handing out fines. They're warning people with safety notices posted through your door if you go faster than 20. I will say this, many speed cameras not calibrated to register you going faster than 20 with the limit set still at 30. I know a policeman that never does 20 miles an hour. I'm just saying that. I think it's inevitable. I think we're going to have to start. I mean, to me, I think 20 miles an hour makes it good sense outside schools and hospitals and other areas. Maybe also a good idea to teach kids how to cross the road, not just to walk in front of my bloody car, as they seem to do where I live.
Yes.
That might be an idea. The problem, you've got no choice, Dave and Darlington. You've just got to try and obey it as best you can. But I would say this. Where I live in London, rush hour makes me do less than 20. So what's the point? And there are roads that, and it's not universal, the 20 mile an hour.
Exactly.
There are roads that you cannot do 30 on that are 30. You cannot do. It's too fast. And there are other roads that have got this going up that are actually industrial. And I'm like, why does it say 20 miles an hour? This is an industrial estate. It's not a residential area. So it's not universal. Yeah, and a lot of it will be about making.
See, the thing
money.
is, that makes it more complicated. It makes it more complicated because when you look at the highway code, it usually says, right, if it's dual carriageway, you know it's because it's got this lighting, or if you know it's this lighting, you're an urban.
Well, that's right. The traditional thing in the UK, isn't it? It's lampposts. If you see lampposts, I've been bombing along places at 40, 50, out on the open road. I know I'm good up to 60. I've come to somewhere and going, shit, I'm seeing lampposts. I've got to slow down because I know when I start seeing lampposts, that's meaning it's 30 miles an hour. Suddenly you introduce 20, and I think you're going to confuse what should I be doing here? Years ago, my father was in the local newspaper because they'd for other things as well, but the judge let him off that. No, he was in the local newspaper because they'd put a 40 mile an hour sign on as you came off the top of a brow of a hill in the middle of the countryside, about 500 yards outside of village.
Yeah.
So you came up to this hill going, 50, fine, because it's a 60. As you went over the brow, you literally hit the 40, and right behind the 40 sign was a speed camera. He never got his money back, but he made the local paper.
Yes.
He was famous. Finally, we've got Dave the Rave in Manchester. He wants to buy a second-hand car. Prices are on the increase. He's been listening to the show. What should he do? He needs a half-decent car to commute 40 miles a day for work. He doesn't mind if it's petrol or diesel. He's got £4,000 to spend. He wants a saloon. Yeah, you should buy that. You'd have 3,000. £750 left. He'd never get to work, especially as there's no interior and that's the carpet. He's thinking, what should I do? Should I get a lease car? And I would say, do not get a lease car. Do not buy that Suzuki with no interior. Lease cars are an expensive extravagance. You pay $250 a month for a new car, and that's terrible because it means you're paying almost £3,000 a year to have a car, excluding the servicing, excluding running the damn thing and the road tax. You're also going to lose as much as you've got to spend on an entire car, unless you're concerned about having the latest toy, because your depreciation is going £1,000 a year at least, maybe more like £2,000 on new cars. So I have found something for you. Very boring, very indestructible. Japanese box. Toyota Avensis 1.8 VVT 2009, 67 on the clock, manual, 2 owners, full service history, in blue, leather, full electrics, a shade over 4,000. There are still bargains to be had out there, guys. I mean, you buy this,
absolutely,
and just over a year and a half, which will shoot by, and you will have only, that's the equivalent of you getting a lease car for what?
Minimal depreciation. Yeah.
Minimal depreciation on this. This is going to lose probably 500 a year, and you'll get down to about £2,000, and then it won't lose anything. And then you'll get to £1,000 after another 4 years after that, and it won't lose anything. My wife's car is now worth £800,000, and it just doesn't lose value anymore because it is what it is. It's a 2004 Honda Civic, but it keeps going on and on and on. And these things, very boring, but just goes on and on. And if you just want something practical, just go that. Thank you very much for all of your letters. I'm not flashing up the thing because I know where I put it. But write to us, like and subscribe. I believe it's time for our quiz, and I don't think I've kept music in my. It's around here somewhere. We need to start. We're going to talk about technology later. We need to sort out some new technology for this show. Here we go. Quiz time on Car-Boyz. Yes, it's time now. Thank you, Dan. Thank you. Time now on the show for another car quiz. There it is. This week it's the ultimate car competition.
Ooh.
It is, where you can win big. All right, enough of that. And by that I mean win, as opposed to the prize, which is not big. It's just the quiz that's big. The prize will be small. I shall be welcoming our contestant this week. He's joining us all the way from sunny Enfield, the Shangri-La of North London. Welcome to Simon. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. Here he is, isn't he lovely? Isn't he lovely? Never played for Yorkshire, but he's a lovely chap. Are you ready to play and win big, Simon?
I am, absolutely. Always love the Car-Boyz pub quiz.
Yes, that's good. Now, this week's prize, and I know you're going to love it, it's a 1978 Hostess trolley that we found around the back of a curry house in Hackney. And it's still in working condition, although good luck trying to get the smell of coriander out of it. So are you ready for that? I don't know how we're going to get it to you.
Does it come with a hostess?
Oh, it would be nice, wouldn't it? Oh, yes. A dolly girl, a dolly lass, a dolly dishy dolly lady with the cards. Yes, we'll try and sort that out with you. Probably not. I can give you one of my daughter's Barbie dolls. Maybe that'll sort you out. But no, you're just going to get the hostess trolley. I don't know why you'd want it. But,
okay, that's fair enough.
There you go.
It
looks lovely. It looks lovely. Super. Smashing. Great. I just found this on the internet. I thought, well, how fantastic is that? Isn't it just lovely? So you're ready to play?
Yes.
Then I will begin. Question 1. What is generally considered to be the first pony car? What is generally considered to be the first pony car? Is it A, the Mercury Cougar, B, the Ford Mustang, or C, the Chevy Bel Air?
Ooh, that's a tricky one. Well, actually, no, but the first pony car.
First pony car. Then
that surely is. That's surely the Mustang.
You're right. Yes, it is the Ford Mustang. Now, although Plymouth enthusiasts insist that the Barracuda beat the Mustang to the market by 2 weeks, it was the Ford Mustang, first introduced at the New York's World Fair on April the 17th, 1964, that captured the imagination of the public, and the success of the Mustang. Of course, it went on to a successful product launch, and it racked up over 22,000 sales in its first day, and in its first 2 years, it racked up 1 million. 1 million.
Wow.
And of course, Steve McQueen. It was Steve McQueen in Bullet, I think, also.
Yeah, it was the coupe version.
Yes, I'm going to show you a picture of if I can find one here, because my printer hasn't been working. There you go. There's some happy people in a Ford Mustang, I believe 1968, something like that. Very nice. So 1 so far. Well done you. Question 2. You can win it. Where is she? Here she is. The dolly dealers, come on with the hostess trolley. I'll be giving you also up for grabs is a caravan, a speedboat, and a 1986 Polonaise FCZNQ, which we found around the back of a curry house in Hackney. Right, what was the first Japanese car to be produced in the United States? Was it A, the Datsun? Was it Z? Was it B, the Honda Accord? Or was it C, the Toyota Camry? The first Japanese car to be produced in the United States. Datsun Z, or as we say over here in England, Z, B, the Honda Accord, or C, the Toyota Camry, or I think the Americans say Camry. I don't know.
So let's work this out. So the Camry is quite, but then there's the Accord has been around for a while, but I think the Z predates them all. So I'm going to say with the Z.
I'm afraid you're wrong. The Z was really popular in the 1970s in America, a massive following for that. But of course, we wanted the car that was first produced in the United States. November 1982, it was the Honda Accord rolled off the assembly line in Marysville Auto Plant in Ohio. The Accord would prove quite popular. Its first year of production, it became the best-selling Japanese car in the United States, a title which it would hold for the next 15 years. I've got a feeling that it's back now. It's still I think the last 20 years, this car has been the most successful car. Obviously, not this one. This one with the giant. This one was their
Wing mirrors.
the car that would also be able to take off with those fantastic wing mirrors. I think that's the Japanese
Hair
version.
dryers for women.
The
Oh, are
Japanese
they-
do like a wing. How are you supposed to adjust that out the? Because this is back in the day when you had to adjust it manually, wasn't it? Did you have to? You had
I don't know. I think
Japanese have very
I
long
think
arms.
that's where. I think that's the inspiration for those ear pods that Apple have produced.
Oh yeah,
That's what they are.
or maybe this was Mr. Tickle's car from Mr. Men. Okay, so 1 out of 2, not doing bad. What was the
Okay.
first car to break the sound barrier? What was the first car to break the sound barrier? Question 3. Was it A, Thrust SSC? Was it B, the Bluebird Proteus? Or was it C, the last rental car I hired?
Is this a trick question? I'm to break
No.
the sound barrier, but not necessarily
break the
hold the
sound
speed
barrier.
record.
To
Yes.
break the sound barrier. Thrust SSC. Bluebird Proteus, the last rental car I hired. It's not a trick question.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to go for your namesake, Andy Green's Thrust SSC.
It was my cousin Andy Green driving the Thrust SSC at Nevada's Black Rock. There he is.
Yes.
He's
Powered by
well
2
done,
Phantom
Andy.
engines from
Yes,
a plane.
Became the first person on land to go faster than the speed of sound. Do you know what? It does actually look like a Phantom jet, doesn't it?
Yeah. All of that or Mickey Mouse.
Oh, that, yeah. Hey, Plodder, we're going to break the speed of sound. And we hate Jews. No, sorry. Yeah, that was I think the Bluebird Proteus was Donald Campbell, and I only think it's about 100 miles an hour. I mean, obviously, breaking the sound barrier, it's got to be 1,000 miles an hour, and yeah, well done, Andy. Moving on. So hang on, you got another one, right? Let me mark that
2 out of 3.
Forget.
Ain't bad.
It ain't bad. Is that what Meatloaf said? Yeah. I believe
Yeah.
it was. It's Meatloaf. He also said some other things about getting lucky on a Saturday night in the back seat of a car. I don't know anything about that. Best-selling car in the UK of all time. Question number 4. What's the best-selling car in the UK of all time? Is it A, the Ford Escort? Is it B, the Ford Fiesta? Or is it C, the Vauxhall Cresta 1.4?
Yeah. Oh, until recently, I'd have said it was the Escort. So I'm going to go Fiesta because it's late 70s, and it's still in production now. So the Fiesta.
You're correct. The Ford Fiesta narrowly has it. 4.13 million units, as opposed to the Ford Escort's 4.1 million units. And they obviously ceased production of the Escort in the mid-90s, late 90s. So the Fiesta's been able to sort of rank it up. The Ford Escort, I believe, starting off with was it the Mexico? The original Mark I is late 1960s. Ford Fiesta is late 1970s. We have no figures for the Vauxhall Cresta, apart from the fact I think there's only 3 still on the roads. And here's a picture of a Ford Fiesta we found in
Pop of the week.
Yeah, that we should be reviewing. Look at that lovely piece of black masking tape.
Gaffer tape on the wheel arch.
I think we found this in Liverpool. It was doing the rounds at the local women's hospital. Moving on swiftly. Too soon?
Yeah, too soon.
Too soon. Okay, I'll try another one. I think the man that looks after the guns for Alec Baldwin drives this car. Too soon? It's not a person. I think it's a lady. Is this loaded? Right. Question 5. What was the first car to be mass produced? The first car to be mass produced. Was it A, the Model A by Ford? Was it B, the Duesenberg 567? Or was it C, the Ford Model T? Was it the Ford Model A, the Duesenberg, whatever I just said, or the Ford Model T?
So I know that it was he based the idea on chickens, watching chickens being mass produced for food. Model A, I think, came out before but was not mass produced. So I'm going to go, and hopefully it's going to be our opportunity to do our joke about our favourite Irish band. I'm going to go for the Model T.
The Model T. It is the Model T. Henry Ford introduced the assembly line in December of Oh no! Why? What? I don't get this.
The Tin Lizzie. It's Tin Lizzie.
Tin Lizzie, the old Tin Lizzie, just used to call it ourselves. They did. As a result, he not only was able to mass produce the Model T, but was able to offer it to his customers at a much lower price than the competition. It sold more than 15 million. And here's the members of Tin Lizzie driving the car.
Yes.
There they are. I don't. Yeah. It looks very good.
Gary Moore in the passenger seat,
and Eric Bell.
Phil Lynott driving.
Where's Phil Lynott? We've got Eric Bell and Gary Moore. Where's Phil Lynott in there? They put him in the boot. It's not very nice. They're on the way to pick up Phil Lynott. He was in the pub.
Okay.
There you go. Tin Lizzie. Moving swiftly on. How long has this show gone on for? These figures are down. What was the first car to be launched into space? Question 6. What was the first car to be launched into space? Was it A, Roger Moore's Lotus Esprit? Was it B, the Tesla Roadster? Or was it C, George Jetson's Thrust 3000?
I don't think as much as I want it to be the Jetsons. I want it to be the Jetsons. I don't think, because the Lotus didn't go into water, so I'm going to go for the Tesla.
You are correct.
Tesla.
Yes, the Tesla Roadster, Roger Moore's Lotus Esprit in, I believe, The Spy Who Loved Me, went under the water.
Yes.
George Jetson's Thrust 3000 was a car I just made up. And in February 2018, though, Elon Musk launched a Tesla Roadster into orbit. Yes, an actual car was launched into at a speed of 18,000 miles per hour and cruising round the Earth with a passenger as well.
Nice. It was a dog.
It was a dog inside a spacesuit. When did Elon Musk say I could come back? No, I'm afraid you've got to stay up there. You're staying up there for
Chinese probably shot it down.
Yeah, exactly. Chinese probably blown that up. There we go. So doing well, 5 out of 6. Question 7. The inventor of cruise control, question 7, was A, robot, B, called Tom, as in, or C, a blind man. The inventor of was A.
It's a blind man. It's a blind man. I'm sure it's a blind man.
Okay, let's have a look.
I've heard this before.
You are correct.
Yes.
Modern cruise control was invented in 1948 by a mechanical engineer, Ralph Titor, who became blind at the age of 5 in an accident. His idea was born out of frustration of driving a car driven by his lawyer, who kept speeding up and slowing down as he talked. And we've got a picture of Ralph here as well, driving his car.
Isn't he lovely?
Isn't he lovely? Mind the kid on a bike! Speed bumps. There he is. That's
I've seen Steve Lynn there.
Stevie Wonder
riding round in Michael Eavis's Defender.
Brilliant.
Around Glastonbury, waving, but obviously he didn't know we were there.
Well, at least he's saying hello to you.
Yeah,
he's feeling the vibes, man. Feeling the vibes. Love a bit of Stevie Wonder. Shame he hasn't done a good album since 1978. Moving swiftly on. Fredruco. Let me get it right. Let's try that one again. What animal is the logo on the Porsche badge? Question 8. What animal is the logo on the Porsche badge? Is it A, a horse? Is it B, a lion? Is it C, a bird? A horse, B, a lion, or C, a bird?
It's something to do with Stuttgart, so I think it's the horse.
Isn't she lovely? It is, of course. The horse on the logo was taken from Stuttgart's coat of arms. There we go, which represents the stud farm on which the city was built. And my father was in Germany in about 1957, 58, and he's got a badge of all the states in West Germany at the time, and the Stuttgart badge looks like the Porsche badge. It pretty much looks like that.
Do you think your dad's got a badge from a Suzuki as well?
Oh, yes. He wears that all the time on his gold Honda, which says Jaguar on the front. Do you know, I might actually try and get him. I might go get some Jaguar badges to come with them on the front. Everybody at the golf club goes to it. Like your Jaguar, John. He goes,
Might as well.
Sorry?
I think you should. I think you should.
I was in New York many years ago. This is the weirdest thing I've ever seen, and this was in Greenwich Village, which is a very weird part of New York. We came off the we were on the we were walking around Greenwich Village, and when I saw a Jaguar, except somebody had painted yellow decals on it and put Ferrari badges all over this thing, and I kept looking around for a film crew, and it had got bits of yellow on it. This red Jaguar.
Yeah.
And I went up to, there's a guy in the passenger seat, and I went, mate, I'm from Coventry. This is Brown Hills, Brown Lane car.
Was
What
it an
are you talking
XJS?
about?" No, it was a probably a mid-90s Jaguar. And he said to me, it's a Jaguar. It's a Jaguar, buddy, that thinks it's a Ferrari. It was horrible. The worst thing I've ever seen. Which brings me to the next question.
Okay.
Ferruccio Lamborghini was inspired to start his sports car company after a disagreement with a car manufacturer. Was it A, Rolls-Royce? Was it B, Ford? Was it C, Ferrari? Or was it D, Reliant?
Oh, it's got to be Ferrari.
You are correct. Yes. Ferruccio, is that how you say it? Or Ferruccio? Famously
to the show all the time.
Yeah, sorry?
It's fine. He listens to the show all the time. It's fine.
He listens to the show. Well, yeah, listens from beyond the grave. He owned a Ferrari 250 GT, which he repeatedly took to be serviced at the Maranello headquarters because of a faulty clutch. He politely asked Enzo Ferrari for a replacement part, and Ferrari replied, "You're just a silly tractor driver. How would you possibly know anything about sports cars?" He did this. Like any red-blooded Italian, he shot him. No, he spat on the floor. He walked out, and he started designing his own sports car. And as I was mentioning, a Ferrari that thought it was a Jaguar, we've also got a picture of a mid-90s Reliant Ferrari collaboration. Now, this unfortunately never came into fruition, but it was going to be a Ferrari. I think Reliant approached
I like that.
Lamborghini. They weren't into it, but obviously it was also sponsored by the Spanish bank Santander, as you can see.
I think it's trying to be the Ferrari Formula One car, because that was sponsored by Santander.
Do you know, this would be a good pit car, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Although I'm not sure how quickly you'd get the car off the front wheel off that.
And especially if you slide it. Well, I was just thinking, like, to take the drivers from the down to the pit. You could take Lewis Hamilton in the front seat.
How long have you got?
He's in a minute. He's here in a minute. He's here in a minute. What a horrible thing that would be. Thankfully, that never came to fruition. Finally, so listen, you're going to win the.
Okay.
I've lost
the hostess trolley.
Hostess trolley now. Where is it? Hang on, it is here somewhere. Bear with me a moment. Yeah, we've lost the hostess trolley. The hostess trolley is going to be.
She's taken it away.
She's taken the trolley. No, hang on. Here it is. There you go. Just to whet your appetite. I bet that thing stinks. The designer. Final question. So we got 8 out of 9. Nearly. The designer of the Mustang logo on the Ford icon took his inspiration from where? The designer of the Mustang, which is the little horse on the front of the little horse on the front of the Ford Mustang, took his inspiration from where? Was it A, the plains of Texas, B, the gaucho horse riders of Argentina, or C, the battlefield of World War II? The designer of the Mustang horse, which features on the iconic Ford car, the Ford Mustang, took his inspiration from where? Was it A, the plains of Texas? Was it B, the gaucho horse riders of Argentina? Or was it C, the battlefields of World War II?
I'm kind of torn because I think it would be obvious to say Texas, but 64 when the Mustang came out, that was only less than 20 years after the war. So I'm going to say after the war.
You are correct. And it's really little known this. And Ford really tried to hide this. Charles Keretzes was a Hungarian cavalryman who was one of the last soldiers in World War II to go into battle on horseback with his troops. He's somewhere in there, and he actually ended up his commander was killed, and he actually ended up as in charge. I don't know at what title, maybe major or colonel, in charge of all these troops on horseback. After World War II, he emigrated to the US and worked as a sculptor and designer. The horse logo was taken from his days as a cavalryman and an officer. But what Ford do not like to reveal and really sat on was the Hungarians weren't fighting with the Allies, but against them, and they were fighting alongside the Germans. So the horse on the front is a German horse. Kept that very bloody quiet. You can't find that
until now.
No, you can't find that on the internet. I really had to search hard. I got told that a few years ago, and I was like, yeah, I'll just go and see that. Yeah. So it was Charles Clozet's who designed the logo for. Yeah, well done, mate. You've got 9 out of 10.
Yay!
9 out of 10.
And the hostess trolley.
You take it home. The dolly dealers have brought on that lovely hostess trolley that stinks. So that'll be fun. Do you know how you use the hostess trolley as well? With great caution. No, basically you have to fill up some compartments with boiling water, and then you switch, you plug it in, and it sort of keeps everything tepid.
I'm not quite sure that's good with health and safety, is that?
No, I wouldn't. I would do this maybe if you had a young friend. I mean, who the heck? I don't want to go around somebody's house. I have actually been around somebody's house years ago that had one of these, and his mum had bought it at a boot sale for £3. Right? And there's only about 6 of us around the table. She says, "I'm getting the hostess trolley out." She did look like Les Dawson. I'm getting the hostess trolley out. Everybody wait. The hostess trolley's going to like, oh yeah, great. And so we had, you put your vegetables in that one, your meat in that one, your potatoes.
Wow.
And you vomit in one at the end. Yeah. Well, I hope you're happy with that. So that's about it from us. Thank you very much for tuning into the show. We might be back next week. I don't know. Are we going to be busy next week? What do you think?
I'm good next week. Week after, I'm not.
Yeah, you're off. You're off. You're in another country.
Just for the weekend.
Just for the weekend. You are coming back. They're not deporting you again.
Unless the COVID cases rise again.
Oh, that's true. You might have to stay there long term.
No,
you wouldn't
become
want
a monk.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. I think we might be insinuating he's off to Belgium, which is okay. If you see him, if you are in Belgium and you see him out there, have a great time. Buy him a few Westmalle. That's what he likes. Westmalle. Pints and pints and pints and pints of Westmalle. So yeah, we'll be back next week, and then we might be taking a little break. Thank you very much for tuning into the show. Thank you for listening. Like and subscribe and get in touch with us. That's the usual thing. And we'll catch you next time. Oh yes, we will.